Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and Villa Taranto is the biggest and probably most important botanic garden at Lago Maggiore in northern Italy. It abounds with rare trees and shrubs, many of them of extraordinary size. But when I look at those giant chestnuts, I think that probably they predate the villa and the park. Look at this tree, about 2 meters thick. Here one of the main branches has been cut a couple years ago, it seems, which is good for seeing the growth rings. You can see they're kind of whitish, but not extremely white. That means the tree is kind of fast growing, but not extremely fast. So to get to that age, that takes a couple 100 years. That's important because, for example, in the entrance, oh, that's getting loud. In the entrance of the park, there is a giant Quercus rubra, American oak tree, where the base is about the same size as this one, but they tell me, well, there was a team cutting it down because it was broken, and they told me that this giant oak is just about 90 years old. However, I'm sure this chestnut is much older. Here in those mountain areas, like in most mountain areas of the Mediterranean with acidic soil, chestnuts were the main staple instead of grains. Grains were more for the lowlands, for the flat areas. Here in the mountains, people didn't have enough flat soil to grow grains, so they used the chestnuts as their main starch supplier. It has been cut down several times. They are taking good care of their trees here. And also it has a couple really interesting and big epiphytes here. Look at this rhododendron. I'm not sure if it's just one or several rhododendron plants, but they are well over 2 meters tall, probably 3 meters tall. Also here they have Polypodium vulgare, a fern which likes to grow as an epiphyte on trees, especially such with rough bark. Beautiful burls and whorls and stuff in this tree. And it's number 268, if you're wondering. Here a lot more Polypodium vulgare. This should be a holm oak. And here, look at that. A little rhododendron, probably from a seed from the big one up there. So lots of epiphytes. I'm sure this tree is producing a lot of fruits in autumn. Now let's go to see some other specimens. There are several impressive chestnut trees in the Villa Taranto, but I've chosen 3 of the most impressive ones which grow quite kind of close together. Beautiful tree. I'm making a lot of chestnut tree videos because it's the biggest nut tree here in Europe, so yeah, it's kind of impressive finding apple trees or orange trees of that size is pretty much impossible. So the next one may be slightly thinner. Also a lot of suckers down here. Again, a lot of epiphytes. Here's some fern I cannot ID. There was something around here. Yeah, there is another rhododendron up here. Interesting. What's up with those rhododendrons as epiphytes? What else? I think I saw a couple more. Well, here fern, rhododendron. Here a tiny maple seedling. But I mean, this branch here is dead, so this maple seedling could grow to quite some size and get a lot of nutrients from there. Oh, it's number 269. Now let's see who has an immature sense of humor. No epiphytes on this side. Beautiful. Both trees are kinda healthy. Here again some Polypodium fern. Both trees are pretty healthy despite being cut down several times, or rather because they are being cut down several times, because this prevents them from growing too big. They have this marks in about 2 meters above ground, which means that they are probably both grafted. Chestnuts have been grafted with the best varieties around here for centuries. A little bit further along the trail there is another chestnut tree, also cut to size. Also here you can see the traces of grafting and pruning. In over 2 meters there is quite a bulge in the stem. This happens usually when you cut and or graft stuff at this elevation. Castanea sativa piantata nel this is not Cinquecento, but what is it? 600, 1600 circa. I guess this means about, planted around 1600. So it's 400 years old. And the funny thing is you can actually sit here and it's gonna protect you from the rain, because here it's spreading quite far. Look at that, it's like a real roof, and not even a very little one. Let's see what epiphytes we have here. A rhododendron of a different species, really huge if it's just one plant, about 3 meters in diameter. A lot of Polypodium ferns here. Again, a second rhododendron, I guess. I think this is more than one specimen. Maybe here a third tiny rhododendron. Here a small oak. A yew growing here also as an epiphyte. Here is the yew. What else? I really would like to climb up here. Here you can see that you have definitely at least 2 rhododendrons as epiphytes. In the lower part, a lot of wood sorrel as epiphytes, an ivy as epiphyte, and can we consider this violet an epiphyte? It's growing almost on the ground. And here more wood sorrel and more Polypodium. Any more epiphytes? Oh yes, of course, there is a pokeweed or poleweed growing here as an epiphyte. Amazing. I really would like to climb this thing to look at it from above, but I think it's not really allowed. I might even find more epiphytes up there. But look at that once again, what beautiful roof it is creating on the right side. Really, when there is rain, you can sit here and remain pretty dry. Beautiful, so beautiful. So those were just 3 of the most impressive chestnuts of Villa Taranto. They are not even the most impressive ones in the region. They're actually even bigger ones. I have a list of the chestnuts in Ticino, which is the Swiss part of those, which is basically the Swiss canton, which encompasses the Swiss part of the Alpine lakes. They have chestnuts which are considerably bigger than those. And those are also not the biggest in Italy. They're actually the biggest and the thickest tree in the world grows in Italy, in Sicily. So those are babies compared to it. But they are still quite impressive. And here I see another big fern growing as epiphyte up there. So folks, tell me what you think about those huge 400-year-old chestnuts here in the Botanic Garden of Taranto. Apart from that, stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful and incredibly plant-rich Botanic Garden of Taranto. And of course, don't forget of Villa Taranto. There is also the city of Taranto at the other end of Italy. And of course, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.